Commissioners, please come on up now. And I'd like to welcome Commissioner Melvin and Commissioner Cole. And I will be reading questions to them. I have a little flag by my seat to tell them how much time they have. They each have 2 minutes for opening comments. I believe we decided with the coin toss that Commissioner Cole will do that. We will start. Did I do that right? No. Commissioner Melvin starts, and Commissioner Cole will finish. So after the 2-minute opening comments, I will start reading the questions. Thank you so much.
I guess we're ready. Hi, good evening. Thank you for coming. My name is Jim Melvin. I currently work for you as Chairman of the Board of County Commissioners. I was elected in 2010, and since that time I've just been absolutely thrilled. Biggest honor of my life to serve you as your representative, or one of your 5 representatives in this county. I worked as primarily as the chairman of the Budget Finance Committee, which is kind of a natural fit. I'm a retired Air Force pilot, 23.5 years, got a master's degree in accounting, got a bachelor's degree in business administration, and I'm also a retired certified public accountant. Probably the coolest job I've ever had in my life, and that includes flying some pretty spiffy airplanes. I really have a lot I want to say, so just going to have the introduction here, and then we'll deal with your questions. And if you didn't get your question in, I'll stick around. Mr. Steiner, where are you? Okay. Anyway, for those of you that care, born and raised here, went to Milton High School with Jimmy and several of the other folks in the room here, and see some folks here that I go to church with. Appreciate you coming. Like I said, Milton High School, PJC, University of West Florida. Then basically gone for most of my adult life in the Air Force. Pleasure to be home, pleasure to work for you. Thank you very much.
First of all, thank you very much for the words for our colleague, Mr. Williams. I enjoyed for the last 6 years working with Jim and learned a lot, I believe, from each other. Sheila and I have been regular attendants here at the Republican Club ever since about the last 12, 13 years. We've been married 42 years, got 4 children. They're married now, including the little one that used to come with us 12 years ago. 9 grandchildren and 1 on the way. I'd like to thank you all for your support. Just the last 8 weeks we've been able to get 830 of the signature cards done, so I thank everybody for taking those cards and helping with that. Thank Ms. Great Care for coming out tonight. It's great to see Americans exercising our right to vote and get out and talk about what they want in their community. And for the last 12 years, I've had the privilege of serving as your county commissioner for District 2. And it's truly an honor. I never consider myself a politician, but I do feel like I am a public servant. And the day I forget that I'm a public servant, and I work for 140,000 people that encompass Santa Rosa County, it's time for me to go to the House. I haven't forgotten that. I enjoy meeting people, I enjoy getting out and working with folks, listening to the problems we have in the county, and stepping forward and making those solutions. The title's community leader. Community sit on the porch and wait for things to happen. You got to get the ball in play. That's why for 12 years I worked diligently to get the Judicial Center to move forward, and finally we're seeing something happen on that. That's why I go out and meet with our District Secretary of Transportation and talk about things that we can do. Why I wrote Congressman Miller a letter to get money for Avalon. I'll continue to do those things. I'm looking forward to tonight's event.
Fantastic. Okay. We all know there's a lot of questions on the courthouse tonight, but just let's throw something out of left field, just to change things up a little bit. 2 people asked this question. When will Avalon Boulevard finally be finished?
Okay. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I talked this morning with Jim DeVries and asked him to highlight the Nightline, just that. I'm tired. I'm very proud of the fact that Avalon got started by the fact that I broke it down into sections and worked with that. And then wrote Congressman Miller, got $14 million from Congressman Miller to get it started. Then that rolled into the rest of the road being able to be done through Obama stimulus money and several other things. But now we'll have that. 2014 is the target. I want to see them stay on target, but I'm dissatisfied with the way the state writes contracts and doesn't hold their feet to the fire when it comes to getting these jobs done. We sat up here and watched 2 lanes of Highway 90 completed and finished but not open. And the answer the contractor had to me, Davis Whitfield, and people from the state, I got till November to get it done and open that up. They were even offered more money to open it, and finally they got it open for staying pressure on. I intend to keep that pressure on them and get it done. And I'm meeting in a week or so with folks from the Moors to explain that.
Thank you. I think you've been given a date certain by Commissioner Cole. I don't understand the delays. The place has been inspected and then have to come in and dig it back up because it doesn't meet compaction. My wife calls me a recovering CPA. I look at the numbers. They get a fee per barrel per day for every day that barrel is out there in the way. So there's no big rush in their minds to police up all those barrels and get finished. And that's just the brutal fact of life. They'll take the time that they take to build the road, and they'll add to the barrels every chance they get. The last time I looked at the numbers for the barrels was probably 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. It was like $1.50 a barrel a day. So when you see those 200 barrels when you go by them, that's $1.50. So that may be the answer.
All right, just going through some questions here. Where do you think, and let me just preface by saying there's a lot of different questions about the courthouse. People have done a great job of that. So I would encourage candidates to focus on the question. There's other questions about funding, this and that, and other thing. Where do you think the courthouse should be built?
And that's my first question. And I think the courthouse is going to have to be built where the public will pay for it, where the public will vote for it. And I've been told in my time speaking with the citizens of Santa Rosa County the last month and a half, going around visiting in homes, they're telling me they're not going to vote for a courthouse if they have to buy the land for it because of the huge amount of land we already have in inventory. And given that fact, my choice is the East Milton site. Originally, I supported, my decision was based on traffic concurrency or how many trips a day was left in the roads. That drove me to Avalon because there's 21,000 trips a day available on that brand new 4-lane. I had no objection to any of the property. All the properties, adequate property that would meet our needs. But my concern was the traffic, and I'm out of time.
Well, y'all know, you find in public records for years, I've pushed for East Milton to be the location for several reasons. Lowering the sheriff's budget and also property we already own. Finally, I was able to get another commissioner to at least listen to that and open that discussion back up. Up until then, I couldn't even get a discussion going from the board. So that's why I made a motion, because we'd already decided on this piece on Highway 90. And I never give up on East Milton, but we have to move the ball. Just like I said, sit there and doing nothing is not moving the ball. So we decided on, finally worked out this piece on Highway 90. I heard from the citizens. My colleagues heard from the citizens. We put that back on the board, and that's why I made the motion that we allow the citizens of Santa Rosa County to exercise their right as American and vote on the location and how we want to pay for it. Mr. Lynch has seconded that. I'm proud to have done it. Thanks.
All right, so more on location, and bear with me, it's a bit of a long question with the statement. The Highway 90 site being considered for a possible courthouse site will cost $1.4 million. It is already locked by contract with Brian DeMare, who will not invest one dime yet stands a profit all over $1 million at closing and has a contract with an option to walk away that is 2 months longer than the citizens of Santa Rosa County's option. Finally, the question, is this a good deal for the county citizens?
All right, to get it straight, there was no price increase when Mr. DeMera got involved. To get it straight, there was an email from Hunter Walker to all the county commissioners on February 7th that this deal had been concluded between Brian DeMera and the bank. So there wasn't no surprises, there wasn't no swoop in and buy. The property price he gave us is the same as the bank gave us when we first reviewed that property, not a penny more. It's easier to work with a developer than it is with a bank's board of directors. And that's as simple as I can make it. We stand to be able to, on Highway 90, grow our tax base by the growth that would be around it, and also keep 2 acres on each side of our driveway that we can develop into 4 1-acre parcels and sell and get the majority of our funding back and have control of what goes on that parcel if we decide as citizens to build it there. I intend to develop a list of pros and cons on both locations. Let the citizens decide based on the pros and cons, and I'm going to keep my vote as a secret, just like every citizen should be allowed to do. I'm not going to lean either way when it comes to it. I'm going to put it out there as it is.
Okay. What was the thrust of that question again?
Is that big statement, is that a good deal for the citizens?
No, it's a lousy deal. It's a good piece of land. It's a lousy deal. We didn't have an appraisal on the property out of the chute. How many of you walk up to a brand new car and tell the dealer, I love that car, how much is it going to cost me? It's a sticker price. We have entered into an agreement to buy a piece of land at sticker price. The school board bought some land out there someplace for very near to this for about 11 acres, around about $16,000 an acre. I'm led to understand that this property we're looking at is worth more than neighborhood of $26,000 an acre. We signed a proposal for $63,000 an acre. It's a good piece of land, make a good place for the courthouse if you're willing to put up with the traffic. And you guys have told me you're willing to put up with the traffic, but you're not willing to put up with buying a piece of land. So I still solid on East Milton.
Mr. Chairman, you can allow for a moment.
He didn't mention you by name, did he? Unless one of you said something specifically about Commissioner so-and-so did such and such, I'd rather not. We do have a lot of questions. If you want to do like the presidential candidates do and answer a different question with the answer you really wanted to give, I'll leave that up to you. But let's leave the courthouse in just a moment. There are plenty more questions about that. What do you think of Navarre wanting to incorporate?
I think that's fine if that's what the citizens of Navarre want to do. And I've told them, my wife and I lived down there when we first came back to the world from a tour in Japan in 1991. And we lived there until 1994, and we moved back home on the bay after my father died. If that's what they want to do, I'll help them get it on the ballot. But I don't know why they would want to add a layer of taxation, but that's their decision to make. If that's what they want to do, I'll wholeheartedly support it. And I will do what I can to help them get that on the ballot. And I know there's a lot of emotion in that, on both sides of the coin in that part of the world. And if that's what they want to do, I'll absolutely support it. Thank you.
Just like the courthouse, it should be up to the citizens and what they want. If the citizens down there want that, I'm all for it. So I'll take the rest of my time to answer the other. I've asked 3 commercial realtors how you approach a contract. You tie up the piece of property, then you have it appraised. You don't spend your money having an appraisal done until you lock up a piece of property. It's not like going up and seeing a sticker on the car. 3 commercial realtors that I've asked, okay? And I talked to Mr. DeMera again today. No breaking any laws, no sunshine violations. I've already checked that. He is certainly willing, if the appraisal comes in at less, to talk about it. Just like anybody would do if you go to buy a piece of property. You or I go out and buy a piece of property, we want to tie it up. The reason being is if somebody else finds out that you're interested in that property, they're going to run out and tie it up. Then you got to work through them. That's all we're doing. We have not obligated one dime of taxpayers' dollars to get this contract looked at and do our due diligence. And the price is still negotiable.
All right. Another non-courthouse question. What is the county's policy of giving or leasing taxpayer-owned land or buildings to nonprofits or charitable organizations? Is there no set policy? If there is no set policy, what do you think it should be?
I think that's mine. I'm not sure there is a written criteria for that. I think common sense prevails. If there is a need in the community for a piece of property that's surplus, I think you ought to give it careful consideration. I have, in this conversation about the courthouse, asked the staff to inventory those 1,400 acres. I had no idea that's how many we own, by the way. That's mind-boggling. To see what we need and what we don't need, and to look at it with two criteria. What could we reasonably expect to need? Do we reasonably foresee a governmental need for? And what would be better held in the public's hands and begin to liquidate that property? Because I think it's absurd that we own 1,400 acres of property.
I think we have to use our property wisely. An entity has a basis where it's good for the community, it's good for our public, and certainly we ought to be able to help them out, provide them a facility at a reasonable cost if it's available. Just not an independent or not-for-profit, but it has to have ties to the community. And I don't see a problem doing that. As long as we have surplus property, I'm the first one to sell it. 12 years ago when I got put on the board, a piece up on Stewart Street, we were going to demo it at a cost to the citizens and then sell vacant land. I told the county staff, let's sell it as is. We did today, now it's back on the tax rolls. Same thing with the piece of property downtown that we just recently sold, an old Stewart's building down there by the Vietnam Memorial. Same thing, we were going to demo it, spend our money to demo it and sell vacant land that won't sell. Now there's a business in there. I don't really care if the business is in there, but there's a business in there. Thank you.
All right, one more and then we're back on the courthouse. How can a company such as West Florida Recycling go bankrupt, owing the county thousands of dollars? Why does the county not have knowledge of the financial condition of companies that they have contracts with?
Northwest Florida Recycling has some hard terms. Their landlord didn't fulfill his contract because their property was flooded and damaged a lot of goods. And then you look, anybody here look at our recycling areas. They're atrocious. They're used as dumps. You can't blame that on the business when their business plan didn't include cleaning up somebody else's mess and getting extra. The other thing, the Escambia County told them that if their trucks came across the line, they would impound their trucks and arrest their drivers. That wasn't in their business plan. Our staff knew about that and did bring it to the Board of Commissioners. Well, we could have worked diligently with their board to eliminate that. The other thing too, residuals. They were allowed to bring back 18% residuals as part of the contract, but yet the contract didn't allow them to carry residuals. So if they only brought 10% one month, they couldn't bank the 8%, they lost them. There was a lot of mistakes made in that contract, and I, being a businessman, will not hold them totally accountable until all the facts are laid out. Thank you.
Well, I haven't looked at your books and records, but just from my prior life, I would say they were running their business on a shoestring. They did get some rough rates from Escambia County that weren't fair. And those things are unfortunate. However, they have a contract with us in Santa Rosa County, and the end result of their inability to fulfill their contract with us is what we all saw and continue to see some places around our recycle pickup points. So it's unfortunate that they have to suffer the brunt of it. That's the way free enterprise works. They weren't adequately funded, and they hit a couple of bad breaks in Escambia County, and the weather caught them, and they're basically going under. And there's just not a lot that we can do other than prepare to assume that burden ourselves while we try to find someone else to contract. And I'll use a couple of seconds over because my colleague has done the same. And I instructed the staff to prepare for the worst case scenario, and that is that we have to take it on ourselves while we diligently try to avoid having to do that, because that's the burden Santa Rosa County does not want or need.
Thank you, and also I might point out, you are free to use less time than you want, and some of the question askers, and that would be appropriate, some of the question askers, they appreciate that. But the time is all yours, to be sure. Now back on the courthouse, explain why the tax requested is 1 cent and not ½ cent.
There again, I'm in favor of whatever the citizens can support. ½ cent does look better because when you go spend $1, they don't give you a ½ penny back. So it kind of rounds it out. The bad part about it is, though, we as a community have the ability to do a $35 million project for 1 penny for 3 years and pay very little or no interest. And carrying it out a ½ penny, we would have to go 7 years because of the interest that would be involved. It's just plain simple mathematics. When I purchase something, I purchase it for a price. I know what what my payment's going to be every month. But every time Sheila gets a chance to, she puts an extra $100 on something so we can get out from under some of that interest. So whatever the citizens want, if you want to go ½ cent or 1 cent, I'm all for it. Whatever our citizens will support.
I think a ½ cent would probably be a little bit more palatable just because it does round it off at 7 cents. And you kind of wonder where that other ½ penny goes. And I've built a spreadsheet and played with it, and every other time it zeroes out. If you get too much one time and not enough the last time, and it zeroes out every time. It's magic. I don't know how it works. Don't ask me. I can't explain it. But the ½ penny, I think, would appeal to the voter more. And the overall mission here is to get a courthouse. We desperately need a courthouse. And you're not supposed to fall in land with a deal. That's probably one of the very first things you learn in business school. Don't fall in love with the deal. Don't get emotionally attached to the deal. We need a courthouse. We need a good piece of land. We're looking at good pieces of land. Unfortunately, some of the land we're looking at, the deal attached to that land stinks, in my professional opinion.
All right. A question that might be related. Why can't the county float a bond issue for the courthouse? Yeah, go ahead.
Right. I suppose we could. I don't know what the financial advantage would be to that, because there'd be all sorts of costs associated with spinning up the legal fees, brokerage fees, and everything else. That is something that could be done, but it would add a lot more expense, and I think we'd probably be better handling our own business by putting it on the sales tax. The sales tax folks passing through help pay for it. Everybody helps pay for it. Consumption taxes are the way to go. They don't burden the landowner and the asset producer. So that's my take on it, and that's it.
I'm not going to waste any time because I couldn't say any better myself. When you look at a bond issue, there's not some magical thing that'll pay a bond issue. It still has to have a recurring revenue to pay a bond issue, to pay a bill. I think we'd be better off, really 1 cent, of course, half is more palatable, than moving forward. Let's pay for it. Let's get it out of our hair. 3 years we could have it gone, 7 years we could have it gone, and then I'll promise you this, if you don't vote for it this time, you will never hear me say another thing about it.
All right, can the county sell some property to offset costs?
I think we certainly can. We have properties, but I think, like if you sold a piece, bring in $50,000, you sell another piece and bring in a little more money. I don't think right now, especially with the way land's not selling, I don't think it would be a good source of revenue to guarantee we have recurring funds. Certainly we can put a property on the market and retire that debt service earlier. Why not do that? Let's go ahead and do it. Let's get the 1 cent in place. Let's give the citizens a report every quarter on where we're at. And if we can sell a piece of property, let's dedicate that money and knock out the debt service and be done with it sooner. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah, as I stated earlier, I've already asked the staff to inventory the properties that we have, evaluate the properties we have in inventory without toward is there a reasonable governmental need for it, or could you reasonably argue that this is better held in the hands of the private sector, and we need to go through that and sell that property off, and you know how the revenue is applied would be a decision we would come to. It would make a nice down payment on it. But the other side of the equation is you put it back on the books. Mr. Brown's going to evaluate. We've already set a millage levy, which we have not raised, which will generate the tax. So that'll increase the revenue to the county if we get some of this off our books and on Mr. Brown's books.
All right. Why can't the old courthouse be saved?
Well, how much time do I have? The old courthouse was built in the 20s. I'm not going to sit here and spell out everything and have it show up on the internet about the caustic materials that are in it because of the time frame it was built in. But suffice it to say, if you started trying to do a major remodel or a demo, you'd have some serious environmental issues on your hands. And I remember vaguely, and Commissioner Cole's been in office 12 years now, so maybe he can tell us, but there was a study by the Board of County Commissioners at some point that studied the hydrology of that land and due to the proximity of the river. My memory is that it wouldn't support the second story. That's my memory, before I got interested in governmental affairs.
The old courthouse has served us well. There's not a car out there I can't restore that it comes to a point where you don't want to keep putting money into it. So I think we need to move forward. There's not enough room downtown for the next 50 years. We've got a river and a railroad in the town around us, so you can't grow. And the good Lord flat told us, build on a rock, not on the sand. That lump down there isn't far from sand, so I think we can't support it.
What do you think should be done with the old courthouse if the new one is built?
My personal opinion is we walk into the mayor's office downtown and hand him the title and say, "Hasta la vista, Mayor."
I'll drive the car.
Oh, thank you both, except you didn't give me enough time to figure out what the next question was going to be. All right, moving away from the courthouse, has Santa Rosa had any success in, obtaining new, okay, let me start again. Has Santa Rosa had any success in obtaining new support business to the aircraft building in Mobile?
I don't know if it's specifically to that industry, but we've had a great deal of success. I led the fight to get rid of Team Santa Rosa. That's one of the commitments I made to you when I ran in 2010. That was the wrong economic model. It was a pay-for-play situation, and all you had to do was buy all the seats on there, and you know what we wound up with? We wound up with a piece of land that cost $3.2 million that appraised for $900,000, but that's because we thought we were going to get some highway frontage out of the deal, and we wound up not even getting that.
Amen.
We worked diligently on our economic development. As you all know, we've worked with Escambia County now. That's a good working relationship with Vision 2015. The Tickner Group, seeing that property that we purchased, the I-10 Industrial Park, is the #1 location in a two-county area for current development. We're currently going through site certification on our sites here in Santa Rosa County. No, to answer your question, we have not seen any aerospace development directly from Mobile at this time, but we got to stay in the game. If anybody comes down that interstate, whether it be Sears, anybody, Publix, anybody looking for a location for a distribution center We have the properties, they're not going to stop in and say, okay, hey, why don't you guys go look for something for us? They're looking for a county that's ready to pull the trigger, that's aggressive and wants to have businesses in the county.